Hi, it's Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video we're taking a look at a power supply which actually has some pretty decent specs, and bearing in mind what the pricing for power supplies is like currently in the UK, this is an absolute bargain. 500 watt bronze rated power supply for less than 35 quid. Is it any good? Let's find out. Okay, so in today's video we'll be taking a look at the Gamemax Rampage 500 watt bronze rated power supply. Now this is actually available at the moment from AWDIT here in the United Kingdom for currently £33.99, which actually makes it amongst the cheapest of the decent quality power supplies that are available on the market right now. For those of you living in the UK and potentially elsewhere, you'll know that at the moment, June 2023, power supply prices are ridiculous. They're extremely expensive. And actually there's not many available, so actually finding a decent one, especially for the more budget-minded builds, is actually a pretty tricky task. So that is why I was very glad when I found this one as a deal on AWDIT. The deal was actually posted on our Discord, and if you want to find out more about other deals which are relevant to UK buyers, do check out our Discord and look in the bargains no chat section, and you'll find there are plenty of bargains for power supplies, RAM, all sorts of things, depending on what is the current flavour of the day. Anyway, with all that said, let's take a look at the power supply, see what it's all about, and you can work out whether or not this is going to be suitable for your next budget build. So let's start off taking a look at the packaging. So yeah, no surprises here, it's the usual Gamemax stuff. They've actually limited a lot of the kind of colouring these days. There used to be lots of kind of accent colours and greens and stuff on there, whereas this is a very muted affair, even down to the cabling, which is that nice kind of licorice black cabling, which I prefer and is relatively easy to manage. We've also got a 80+ sticker on there, so this has achieved up to 88% efficiency in the Clear View or Clear Plus testing. I'll try and put some links for that in the video description so you can check out in more detail. This is actually going to be more efficient for people in the UK because of our voltage system. The Rampage range, for those of you who are interested, actually does come in a variety of different flavours. Starting at 500 watts, there's a 750, there's some semi-modular ones as well, so if you want something a little bit bigger and semi-modular, then there might be something for you. We're actually going to be reviewing the 750 watt semi-modular version coming up very soon, so do stay subscribed to check that out. On the back of the box goes through some of the key features and also gives you a layout of the wiring, but don't worry, we're going to go through those in depth so you know how long the wires are and how many connections are available on each one. Some of the key features, so it has got a up to 88% efficiency rating. We also have active power factor correction, and also there is over voltage protection, under voltage protection and over power protection. And all of that is wrapped up with a 2-year warranty. Something else which they do mention on here is the fact that it has a quiet fan, and actually I'm very pleased to tell you, I've plugged this in and tried it. It's got a 140mm fan and it does run very quietly, almost silently. I wouldn't say it's exactly silent, but it's certainly not going to be any louder than normal case fans. Something else which is actually notable is the capacitors used on here. So this is using TK capacitors. Actually, I have had a look online to see what the kind of general consensus is of these type of capacitors, and generally they seem to be pretty much okay. There's no crazy stories about them being terrible and exploding, so that's somewhat of a relief. The internal build quality looks to be okay, and there's no crazy wiring and not loads of chewing gum holding things in place. So yeah, actually looks pretty good, and again, bearing in mind the budget price for this, I don't think it's too bad at all. Taking a look at some of the things included in the packaging. Now, if you're in the UK, you will receive a UK 3-pin plug with the traditional IEC connection on the other end. There's also a bag with some cable ties for cable management and also 4 screws to mount the power supply into your case. And there's a very basic user manual. Looking at the power supply itself, it's actually a pretty nice looking unit. Like I said earlier, 140mm fan there with a nice wire grill on there to keep fingers and things out of it. Again, the fan is pretty much silent. I'll try and get some B-roll of this so you can actually hear what it's like, although realistically with microphones and technology these days it's very difficult to actually hear what it's like. Essentially, it is pretty much silent. On one side you do have a little bit of overblown logo on there, so you've got the RPG 500 watt Rampage and you've got the 80+ sticker on there. On the back you've got some ventilation with hexagonal grills and actually a very nice feeling power switch, nice and clicky. Feels very sturdy, and obviously you've got your power input there. On the other side you've got the ratings on there, and this is something which a lot of power supply manufacturers tend to do. This appears to be rounded up somewhat, so it says it's a 500 watt power supply. The total output power is 500 watts, but we only have 40 amps on the 12 volt rail, so meaning 480 watts. The rest of it, the 20 watts extra, is made up from the 3.3 and 5 volt rails. Like we said a little bit earlier, the cabling is of this nice kind of black flat cabling, so relatively easy to cable manage, even in the tightest of cases. No additional connectors there. This is a fully wired power supply. And talking of the wires, let's take a look at what we actually get. So the first one is going to be your main 24-pin power connection for your motherboard. And this one comes out at 550 millimeters in length. Next one is going to be your EPS connector, so that is your 4 or 8-pin power connector. There's only one on here, and this actually is quite a nice length as well, especially if you're mounting this power supply at the bottom and you've got a particularly big board or big case. This goes up to 650 millimeters. Next is going to be the PCI Express connection, so this is a 6+2 molded into an 8, and there is also a fly lead on there, so if you've got a dual 8-pin card, then you can use that if you want to. Obviously, this is only a 500 watt power supply, so kind of do consider what graphics card you're going to attach to this. Work out your voltages, etc. If you're using a processor with a certain TDP rating, it's probably worth looking at what it draws maximum under Cinebench, something like that, and then add on what your graphics card will run under kind of 3D Mark, and put those together. That's going to give you your worst case scenario, and then ideally you want to look at the power supply rating according to what those values come out as. This cable is 500 millimeters in length to the first plug, and then you've got an additional 150 between the two plugs. Next is going to be a ridiculously long SATA cable. So this one is actually got 4 plugs on it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The gap between each one of these is 150 mils, and the actual cable length itself from the power supply to the first plug is 550 mil, giving a total length of just slightly under 1 meter. And the last two connections are basically identical. So you've got 2 shorter leads, both with 1 SATA and 1 Molex on there. So if you've got something near the power supply, such as maybe an SSD or RGB controller, that sort of thing, nice short cables to plug those in. These are measured in at 360 mil from the power supply to the first plug, and then again you've got 150 mil between the first plug and the next one. So there you go. Overall, not a great deal to shout about, but if you are in the UK and you're looking for a relatively inexpensive power supply which has a 2-year warranty, isn't going to break the bank, I think it's actually well worth a look. I've tried some other ones, such as the APFC Gaming one, which we reviewed recently, which you can also check out. We'll try and link that as well. Very similar price, although the fan on that one was a little bit on the noisy side. For me personally, I do like my fans to be relatively quiet, so this is actually a step in the right direction, and actually I did return my APFC Gaming one and bought this instead. So if that's anything to go by, feel free to make your decisions from the buy-in section below. We will put lots of links in there so you can pick up in your local area should it be available. If you struggle to get them or you can't find the link, let me know, mike@mikesunboxing.com, or join our Discord, or just leave me a message in the comments section. So I think that's going to wrap this one up. A decent overall power supply for not a lot of money. Hopefully you like this video. If you have, smash the like button. If you want to see more content like this on a daily basis, hit subscribe and the chime notification, and you'll notified of future video releases. But for now, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.